We work so you can play.
If that's red.
Yep.
If that's red.
Yep.
If that's red.
Yep.
Hey there, MiniWarGamers. Owen here from MiniWarGaming with Luke to bring you the first game in the Fantasy League. Fortunately, Luke's opponent, Chris, did not make it today, so he has to play me, and I'm playing the new Dark Elves, who you have yet to see a review from, anyway. So we'll show you the armies. It's Skaven against Dark Elves, 2,500 points. We're gonna roll off to get our magic and scenario out of the way, and we'll get this started.
So here we are, the first battle report with the new Dark Elves, and frankly, I like them. So here we go. We'll start off at the beginning. We've got two sorceresses, a level 4 and a level 2. Or rather, they're both level 4. We've got a level 4 life and a level 4 dark. And the level dark is on a Pegasus. We've got 10 crossbows. We've got 20 crossbows. And they've, of course, both got full command. We have a unit of witch elves here, and I think it's about 36 of them. But I messed up the points, and I think I counted it as like 40. And then, of course, we've got a hag with a cauldron of blood attached to that unit. Now, technically, you deploy outside, and then you could join it afterwards. But I just put them in because it saves time. We've got a Hydra, we've got a whole brick of spears, and then a few little cold ones sitting in the back. And they're hanging out right there. So there we go, we've got 2,500 points of Dark Elves. On the other side of that, we have the Skaven. 50 giant rats, and they are being led by Screech, I think his name is. Big unit of clan rats with full command, warp lightning cannon. We've got a hell pit abomination. We've got big unit of plague monks, and they of course have a level 2 plague with them, and then there's a level 4, the BSB is also there. So 40 plague monks, and they've got a BSB and all that. Or then we've got the giant unit of storm vermin with the screaming bell and a level 4 rat monk or rat priest on top of there, and that's how it works. 60 storm vermin, that's how many there are. And he's a level 4 of ruin, that's what their lore is called. So who gets first deploy? He does. But we re-roll, that's what happened. Because I won the roll-off, there we go, for deploying. The stupidity check passed on my Dark Elves. And I do apologize, I missed the overview of everyone deploying. Just trying to get into this feeling there. So here we go, Dark Elves turn 1, and as always, we advance forward, moving up. We've got lots of terrain on the board, so it's going to be very difficult to try and maneuver your units between the buildings. We are treating them all as just impassable. You can't enter them. They're just something to make the terrain more difficult to walk around, which I really like playing like this. I used to play with a lot less terrain in Fantasy, and then when I started playing with more, I really realized how big of a difference and how interesting the game gets when you can't just wander around wherever you want, including forests. Forests are basically non-issues. Then right here we've got the Dark Elves and the Spearmen and the Archers holding up on the flank over here against the Hell Pit with the Sorceress to back them up. Rolling for Magic Phase, I got a good 7 dice. He did not channel, I did not channel, and that's basically how that works. First thing, I get my Throne of Vines, and then I cast Earthblood, and I miscast on a 4. Now we messed up here, and we looked at the wrong chart. We had the old old miscast chart hanging by, and so we did it where it hit everybody in base contact with a strength 10 when it should have been the one where it's a large blast, and it could have potentially changed the game, but we both agreed that we both made that mistake, so we played on without it. So when you leave a comment, be aware that's what's happened there. Here we go, Flesh to Stone on the Hydra, and he dispelled it, so no Flesh to Stone. Here we go, shooting arrows, tons of arrows, 6s and 6s and 4s, and there we go, we did a wound. Haha, killed one of the rats. Here we go, shooting at the Hell Pit, and this one's a little bit harder. They do have their guards captain, though, to hit him a bit accurately, and they did 3 wounds, and he actually failed a couple wounds there, and is down to 1. Here we go, moving on to the Skaven turn. First thing he does is starting to try and charge. He charges with the clan rats, and they fail, or the storm vermin, rather, and their bell, so they just kind of move up and stop. He's attempting to charge my knights with his giant rats, and they also failed their charge, and they end up just sitting on the other side of the forest there. Womp. And then we've got these clan rats moving forward, and then he's of course got his plague monks that are also going to march and move up as well. So that's 2 big units against just my unit. We forgot to do his random movement thing on his Hell Pit, and it just kind of stumbles forward. Those are horrifying if they get in close combat, by the way. Magic Phase begins, and I do get a channel, and the rats do not. But he does get a 5-up channel item that gives him a bonus there. So here we go. He's casting Wither onto my Spearman, and it's -1 toughness permanently, and it can't be taken away, so I definitely don't want that to go off, and I do successfully stop it. Next thing he casts is Plague, trying to hit them with that, which is also a big pile of damaging to this unit, and I use my Dispel Scroll to stop him from using it. And that's that. He fires the Warp Lightning Cannon starting 6 inches in front, and it then bounces to the far side and then moves 8 inches, hitting the building, but fortunately dodging the Hydra. Stupidity, they pass, so my knights decide that they are going to charge the giant rats. It's kind of suicidal, but I'm like, alright, I don't have much choice. If I don't charge them, they're going to charge me. My guys here, they decide that they're going to try and charge, or rather, yeah, because they tried to charge and then I failed, and then I realized afterwards that it's a very dumb idea to try and charge those guys. But that's what happened. So my Witch Elves, they all move up, and my Sorceress is of course surviving inside there despite the chance of getting killed, and the other Sorceress flies over to the far side here with her Dark Magic. Magic phase begins. I get 4 magic dice, only getting 4, and he does not channel either, or 5 rather. I decide I'm going to just cast the Black Horror, shooting right through them, and it does go off, but he dispels it. And then try and cast Power of Darkness, which fails, and that's it. And then I tried to cast +4 toughness on my Hydra, but I failed. But he does use his spray attack. He does his Lookout Sir to get out of the way. The spray then hits at strength 4, just murdering these guys, and it's brutal. It was bad. Lots of rat people got killed. Lots of rat people got killed. But thankfully he's unbreakable thanks to the bell, and I start pouring more arrows onto him. Hard to hit, hard to wound, but we do a couple, and they are armor pierced, so he has barely any save against it, and more rats get killed. Now I'm firing more arrows at the Hell Pit, and they get a whole bunch of wounds, but he does make quite a few regens. Well, he makes average regens, and it's down to now 1 wound, I believe. Yep. Close combat begins. Fear check against the little rats. Their leadership 10, thanks to having their general and that nearby, but he does fail. Don't worry, he's got his BSB, so he can re-roll it. Leadership 10, and he fails again. So my knights attack. They're hitting on 3s, re-rolling to hit because they have higher initiative and always strikes first. So they re-roll the one that missed, which he then is cocked, so he re-roll, but it misses anyway. Then they're wounding on 2s, but they re-roll 1s because they have murderous intent, so he takes off 4, and then we ended up re-rolling that at the end there because messed up. There you go, Squee attacks, he hits, and all the rats now attack, or he misses rather, because he needs 5s to hit, but he does 6s to wound automatically, and he gets a bunch of wounds. 2+ saves, and I fail 2. So 2 guys go down, and then we remember that the one other one got killed. We took him off. Now the mounts attack, hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, re-rolling 1s, and that's basically how that goes. They killed another 4. Here we go, leadership check. They pass, so they stay. And now he's of course doing his charge against my Hydra in his turn, and he made it, and I decided that I would hold because that is the correct response when you get charged by a giant unit of 60 clan rats. He then attempts to charge my Dark Elves, but he fails the charge with the clan rats, which then blocks the charge of the plague monks, and so both of them are stuck there, unable to attack my unit of spearmen. This Hell Pit Abomination scatters forward, almost making it to my archers, but not quite. Magic phase begins, and I do not channel, and the rats do not, or do channel, and then he's got a 5+, and he does not. Once again, withering on my unit of spearmen here. I try and stop him, but fail horribly. He then casts Curse of the Horned Rat onto my Witch Elves, and it goes off, and there we go. Oh, that was what happened. The other one, he failed to cast, and now I use my Dispel. I don't know how I messed that up. Sorry about that, guys. I only have 1 Dispel Scroll. It was not used earlier. He had just failed to cast the spell. Here we go, using Scorch, and I do Lookout Sir, and then he blasts a whole bunch of my Witch Elves, but I do get a bit of a save, but that said, I do lose another 5, 6 off of the back. He then uses the Bell. I don't know why I rolled this. They have Frenzy. But anyway, he then fires the Bell, and it does Scorch as well, hitting another 10 of my guys on the other side of the, or in my unit of archers. They have 6 up saves, and I actually make 2 of them, so 4 of them die. But they have to panic, and leadership 8, they break, and they run big distance. Womp. Firing the lightning cannon directly in front of my sorceress. It bounces 8, so it's pounding right into her. And right there, ends up on the other side. a 1 to 4, it hits the horse, and it does hit her horse, and then does d6 wounds and kills it. He's dead. So there we go. That's the end of the horse. Now I had to use my Dreadlord as my model because I didn't have my other sorceress on hand because I was at Black Knight, so I don't have all the models that I usually do. But anyway, close combat begins between the knights and the rats the knights do 2 wounds, killing 2 more rats. The rat's Squee then gets to attack, and he fails, or Screech, or you know what? I really wish I knew what his name was. He's a rat man. He leads the little rats or the big rats, depending on your point of view. And I failed 3 of my armor saves, and that is the end of my knights because the rat horde finally killed it. And so that's unfortunate for me because I like my knights. I love Cold One knights. They're too expensive, but I love them. Here we go. The attacks from the big unit of clan rats against my poor Hydra, but he does take a bunch of wounds. More attacks from the other critters, and he gets just barely not enough. The rat ogre then attacks, getting 2 hits and 1 wound, and I have a 6-up, but I fail it, so I'm down to 1 wound left on my Hydra. The sorceress attacks, hitting and not doing a wound. So the Hydra gets to attack back. He only gets 3 plus the number of wounds he has in attacks, so he kills 2 of them. Then he gets Thunderstomp for 5, crushing 5 more, just for spite, and I still lose combat by a bunch. He wins by 3 more. I fail my leadership on Snake Eyes. The Hydra then runs 7, and there we go. There's the 9-inch run. What do the rats get? 4. So he runs 9, going through the Witch Elves, who are, of course, frenzied, so they're immune to panic. And now he moves up. So here we go. Dark Elves. Witch Elves are charging. I have to pass a leadership at -2 in order to charge them successfully, and I do charge them successfully, despite their leadership shenanigans, and make my charge. So the close combat begins. The big unit of sorcerers, or Witch Elves, against the giant unit of rats. Now, this giant unit of rats is unbreakable. So it is quite a nuisance to try and deal with this. My archers rally. They turn around, getting ready to face down. The Hydra fails to rally, and BSB fails to rally and continues to run 6 inches, heading towards the table edge. That's unfortunate. My spearmen then move back another 2 inches, and my sorceress just wanders around in the back. Boxcars for magic phase, though, so big magic, big magic, big magic. He does not channel. First thing I do, he does dispel my Throne of Vine, or my +4 toughness, which makes sense. I then cast Soul Stealer into the unit of rats. There we go. Haha, who didn't see that one coming? So Soul Stealer goes down, and it didn't scatter, hitting a whole pile of these guys, killing 3, 4 of them. The lore attribute then tries to do a few wounds, does 2, and he fails the save, so 2 more rats get killed thanks to spiteful casting. I then try and cast the Black Horror, which fails to go off. And now I'm starting to shoot my archers, trying to kill that Hell Pit, which they do a bunch of hits, but no 6s, so it has 1 wound, and it is going to get into close combat. But now the combat begins between the Skaven and everyone else. So here comes the Hag, attacking first, hitting on 3s, 6s are auto wounds, re-rolling to hit, so there's 1 6, and now rolling to wound. We need 3s to wound, re-rolling to wound, or 4s to wound, re-rolling to wound. There we go, because I messed up. I thought she was only strength 3. She's actually strength 4, but it's okay. There is a lot of mistakes made on both sides here, just because the Dark Elf Codex is new, so there's little things that I've noticed as we've gone through this that we've made mistakes in. I've tried commenting on them whenever they come up. Yeah. So here we go, re-rolling to hit and re-rolling to wound thanks to the Cauldron of Blood, giving re-rolls of all, or re-rolling all to wound. And they, of course, have the Razor Standard, so he's armor pierce, and it kills like 20 of these rats on the charge. And now he attacks back, getting a hit and not getting a wound. He then attacks with the Rat Ogre, who does not get a hit, and then the Sorcerer, who does not get a hit. The Hydra then heals a wound for each wound missing on a 4+, and is back up to 4 wounds. So that's how that happens. Skaven turn begins. He tries to charge once again, failing his charge and just moving forward 2 inches, and then, of course, the other ones are stuck. The rats here then charge into the flank of my Witch Elf unit, and this monstrosity I do not get to overrun. He decides to go directly forward, hitting my archers. I tried to convince him to go after my spearmen, but he didn't take the bait. Channel attempts, he doesn't get any, I don't get any. Curse of the Horn Rat does not go off. He then shoots a cannonball directly at my sorceress, but it does scatter, landing right into the back of those plague monks. And then how strong is the bounce? 4, so it goes 4 more inches and is strength 4 and bursts into a cloud, or a AoE, hitting a whole bunch of these little critters. And first does his Lookout Sir, which he does dodge. And then it's wounding them on, I think, 4s. And kills 2, 4, 6, 7. Which is nice to see, that he didn't hit me and kill more of his own guys. So here we go, attacking with his impact attacks, killing 3 of my crossbowmen, because that's what happens. But I do always strike first, so my 7 guys attack back, hitting on 3s, re-rolling, because they have always strikes first, then wounding on 6s, re-rolling 1s, and they get 3 wounds, and he's got 3 4-ups, and they kill it. So that is the end of that hell pit, thanks to crossbows. Because crossbows. But it might come back. It has a chance of coming back or turning into swarms or all kinds of crazy shenanigans. Or just dying. That happens too. Rerolling to hit thanks to the... we've moved over to the Witch Elves, basically, is what's going on here. He challenged my hag with his little rat in the unit of giant rats. And basically, he's getting crushed because she's a lot better at fighting than he is. And I always strike first, and he does not. And he fails his saves, and so he's dead. Hag wins. Wah, wah. Here we go, attacking. These are the witches against the BSB by himself. 4s to hit, rerolling to hit. 5s to wound, rerolling to wound. And they do get a few wounds. And he fails 2 of them and kills them. That's that for him. These are the attacks against the surviving rats in the unit itself. And he loses those, so the rats are dead. And now it's just the bell. Surviving guys attacking the bell now. Rerolling 1s and 2s because they are always strike first. 6s to wound. Forgot about my auto-wounding on 6s with my poisoned attacks, but I reroll to wound. I do a whole bunch, but he has a 4-up ward save, which he only fails 2. And now the witch is attacking the rats on the side here. Once again, 6s are auto-wound, but I forgot about it again. And then rerolling to wound, which, I mean, it's the way the game works. I mean, things get forgotten. He didn't catch it, I didn't catch it, therefore it's all of our faults. But anyway, he attacks back with all of his rats, killing like 6 of my guys, and then loses then the giant rat on the rat ogre on the bell gets to attack, and he does a hit, does a wound, but I make a save, and that's about it. So morale check, he fails and flees because he lost by a whole bunch and no longer has his BSB. But unfortunately, I can't pursue him because the bell is unbreakable, and that's how that works. But unfortunately, his giant monstrosity did not get back up again. And I decided, you know what, now's my chance. I'm going to charge in. So all my spearmen charge his unit of clan rats because I know the Witch Elves have got the other flank. The Hydra rallies and is back in action. And then, because he was actually close enough to get my general. They're only leadership 6 now, so remember that. So unless you're near enough to get your general's leadership, he's right on the line. He dispels my attempt to try and cast +4 or Flesh to Stone. Or now I'm casting Flesh to Stone on these guys, which I fail. Which was great, and that's how that works. Archers are now shooting into the giant rats because why not? Let's just kill rats. So a whole bunch of little rats get killed, and that's basically how it works. 6 of them get killed, I do believe. Shooting more arrows at the plague monks, getting a few wounds, and he has no save, it appears. Attacking the bell, and here goes the hag going first. She has poison attacks hitting on 3s and does do a wound. 6s to wound, re-rolling to wound thanks to the cauldron. The 2 girls on it do 1 wound, re-rolling to hit, and then 6s to wound. They get it, so there's 3 wounds right there, and then the other witches that are nearby, they get 2 more, and then rolling to wound, they get 1, re-rolling to wound. And here we go, they get another one with the re-roll now, and they get yet another one, so a whole bunch of 4+ saves, and we drop it. So that is the end of the bell, but the little Grey Lord is sitting there, and he rolled Snake Eyes for his leadership, and so he does not break. Close combat begins between the Elves and the giant unit of Skaven here, hitting on 3s, re-rolling, then wounding on 4s, re-rolling 1s, and they unfortunately do a bunch of wounds to him. But he does have a save, which he promptly fails a whole bunch of times, and I think like 11 of these guys die. 10? 10. Never mind, 10 died. He attacks back, hitting on 4s, wounding on 3s, because I'm -1 toughness, but I do have a 5-up save, and I only lose 1 guy. So he fails his morale check, and we pursue, and he gets wiped out, so the clan rats are destroyed, and these guys overrun directly into the clan rats, or the pestilence monks, which is bad news bears for me, because those guys are nasty. He rallies on a leadership of 3, turning around his rats, and now the magic phase begins. He gets tons of power dice. I do get a channel. He does not get a channel with his normal channel, and then does not on his 5+. So here we go. Casting Plague onto them. It does go off, but I dispel it. the dreaded 13th on my unit. He goes to cast it. This could potentially wipe out my unit of Witch Elves, and we mathed it out. He was 1 short of being able to cast it, so big downside to him. He shoots his cannon at my sorceress once again, bounces, hitting 2s to wound, rolls a 1 to wound, and does not hurt her. Close combat begins between the Hag Queen and all of, or the Grey Lords. He dies. They kill him. That's what happened there. And then they turn to face down the other rats. So here we go. At least the Dark Elves get to go first, hitting on 3s, re-rolling, and then wounding on 4s, re-rolling 1s. So I rolled pretty bad, but I got lots of 1s, so I still rolled bad. So they killed like 7, 8, 9 of them. He attacks back. Now he's using his special banner that lets him re-roll to hit and to wound. It's only once per game, but it's really, really good. And so he attacks again, doing 2 wounds, killing 2 of my guys because it's high enough strength to get no save. That was from the Plague Priest himself. And wounds another one, killing yet another guy. So here comes the front rank. 4s to hit, re-rolling to hit, and then 3s to wound, re-rolling to wound, and it's just like a next rank attacks, next rank to wound, next rank attacks, next ranks to wound. And 5-up saves, I failed like 20 of them. So 14, 24, yeah, that's right, 26 die. And there we go. So 26 die. I lose Snake Eyes to rally, and they of course fail because that's horrifying. And they run 10 inches, but he catches them. Ha ha ha. So the Plague Monks run and overrun my unit of Dark Elves, wiping them out in one giant slaughter, and that was hilarious. Plague Monks are nasty when they have that banner because they have Frenzy, and they have just a phenomenal number of attacks. And they're rats, so they have high initiative. Charge begins. Witch Elves are going in to slaughter this unit of, like, giant rats. They're only worth, like, 100 points, I'm pretty sure, but whatever. I'll send my 600, 700 point Death Star unit against it. Hydra walks over to look at the Plague Monks. Sorceress runs over to walk behind them as well. Magic phase begins. He does not channel. I do not. Oh, I do channel. Ha ha. Doing Doombolt onto the unit there. It does go off, and I get a bunch of hits, wounding on 4s, and I kill a whole bunch. So, bam, 4 more get killed, 5 more get killed. He tried to do Black Horror, and it goes off, and then goes 40 inches in a straight line. So it goes zwomp right over top of all of them. So we had to math out a little bit. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 10, 20, I don't know. Miscast hits me for a 7, so it doesn't do anything to the sorceress, and he has to do a whole bunch of strength checks, which he fails a bunch more, and so we whittle down this unit even more from range, because now the archers are going to shoot them, and they get 3 more with just pegging them, or 2 more rather. Here we go. The Witch Elves are now attacking this giant unit of plague rats, hitting on 3s, re-rolling to hit, wounding on 4s, re-rolling to wound. And he has no save against these because when he rolled off at the beginning, he did not get the regeneration. And now the Hag's attacking, and then the 2 witches on the top are attacking, and then the witches in the 2nd rank and 3rd ranks are going to attack because they are a horde still. And then the sorceress attacks as well. They're dead. They all died. That's what happened. Rolled a lot of dice, and they all died. So I rally and turn around, or I get a free reform anyway. Skaven turn begins, and he's trying to debate what he wants to do here. And he tests not to frenzy, to not charge those archers, because that's what he would have had to do, because he was close enough to do it. And then he turns around to face my Hydra. Magic phase begins, or then he marches, and then moves up magic phase. I do get a channel. He does not get a channel. So he tries to do Wither on my Hydra, because why not? It's an amazing spell. And it goes off, and I fail to dispel, and that's that. Or I do dispel, sorry, because I'm level 4. That's what did it. And he tried to fear my guys, or he tried to do a strength test or be removed, but my Hydra passed, and he's okay. Shooting his cannon at my Hydra now. It's strength 4, he needs a 5 to wound, and he rolls a 4, so the Hydra lives. The game goes on because we had forgotten that, you have to roll to see whether that happens, and we didn't. So that happened. I found out that I'm not allowed to go into the building, and so I didn't do it. And instead, I had to do my test to march, which I failed, and so they just kind of move normally, and she stands right there. The Witch Elves come running because we got to get back over there. They march 10, heading towards the combat. Magic phase begins. I get 5 power dice. He channels, and I do not. so it's 5 dice, or I do channel, so it's 5 to 6. I do the Black Horror, it goes off. Oh, fail. There we go. Never mind. I tried to do the Hex first, but it failed. So anyway, combat begins, attacking the Hydra. 3s to hit, 3s to wound. I fail my save, so he's down to 3. And now here come the rats attacking. They do not get to reroll because they don't have their banner. He does a couple more wounds, and I fail those, and I'm down to 3, but I do get to attack back, crushing 3 of them. Crushing 2 of them, because they're toughness 4. And then I stomp for 3, and I kill 2 more, which he only did 1 wound to me, and has a rank and a banner, but I charged and did more wounds to him, so he fails his leadership, he loses frenzy, and the close combat goes on. Skaven turn, he goes right into the magic phase, casting Wither. It goes off, and I dispel it, and that's how that happens. Bam. So he's attacking the Hydra. The Hydra makes one of his 6-up saves against the leader. The rest of the Hydra, or the rest of the dudes attack, hitting on 4s, wounding on 5s, I think? Nope, 6s. And he does 1 wound, but I'm down to 1, so I still survive, and now get to attack him with my 4 attacks, hitting 3 times, wounding 4 times, hitting 4 times, wounding 4 times. So I kill them all, losing a rank. I get 4 more stomps, wounding on 3s, killing 4 more, and it's just like, it was just slaughtering them. He fails his leadership. He runs 10, I run boxcars, and the Hydra overruns, and that is the end of the game, because at that point we call it there.
So we're going to call it there,
the game actually
and
it ended.
that was a Dark Elf victory.
Yes.
You gonna be okay?
Yes.
You seem a little...
Oh, Dark Elves are so brutal.
Yeah.
I can describe them right about now.
Well, we're going to have a little bit of a post-game. We're going to talk about this. So, as it stands, it was a Dark Elf victory due to tabling, effectively.
He lives. It's probably under your pay.
Yeah. After killing all of his own guys. You're like, come on, man, we'll make you the leader. After you kill that wizard, you can be the next wizard. I'll hook you up. We got magic gear. And then we took him out back and beat him in with
Killed
it.
him.
Yeah. And that was basically how that went. So, stay tuned, vote members. We're going to have a post-game. Happy wargaming.